Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged Woodworkers podcast. So, I've been stupidly busy with this book or this guide, if you will, for the Roman Workbench. I've been editing it, adding stuff, taking stuff away. So I think I'm gonna kind of be releasing it today, sometime today, or possibly tomorrow. It's going to be very close either way. So that's like got like 3 plans in it. I included like the poor man's workbench. If you want to go and have a look at that, that'll be kicking around on Instagram. I haven't really had a lot of time to experiment with that, or rather, I've chosen not to experiment with that. So it's a decent bench, to be honest with you, but in all fairness, it could do with a little bit more experimentation. So there's actually that. There's the oak bench what I built some time ago, which has got the shear force attachment. That seems to be a bit of a wow factor for people when they see it or they see the video, because I actually did make a video. Same again, if you want to see the video on how to use a Roman Workbench Part 2. There'll be a link to my YouTube channel in the description, so go and check that out. That's quite a popular video actually for me. I'm obviously only a small channel, but I'd say one of the favourite ones. So yeah, there's that included in the book, and obviously the new bench what I've just built. There's plans for that as well. So I finished the video for that. I've edited the video for that. It's very long-winded. Some of my videos are. I think it's very detailed. I do go into a lot of detail. I think it's going to be about like 42 minutes long. It's something like that. So it is pretty detailed for anyone that wants to build a Roman workbench. They're really easy to build. They really are. There's nothing hard about them, and they're so forgiving. So again, that video should be released sometime today, I'm hoping. Obviously, the book and the video kind of go together, so I'm kind of just trying to like get everything together and get it released. Enough the same time. So today, I'm just going to talk about the bench. Basically, the things I've done differently, the things that I haven't done differently. I'd like to say this was going to be my last bench, but it's not going to be my last bench. Obviously, just with the current situation, obviously with my finances and stuff, due to what's happening in the world at the moment, I wasn't able to go out and basically buy the wood that I wanted to buy and do the things that I wanted to do. So yeah, there's definitely going to be another bench. But this was a good experience. When I built this bench as well, I did kind of I did build it more for other people than myself, but I did incorporate some things that I wanted to do for myself. So the materials I used were the very last of the Sapel. I think I've talked about this numerous times. You are all probably sick of hearing about this Sapel, what I got from Newcastle College, but yeah, I've used the last of that, the last of the thick stuff anyway. There is some thinner material. I think is that like about an inch thick, something like that. But obviously, I'm not going to be able to build a bench out of that unless I was to laminate it. But I don't think I'd go down that route. It's just too much hassle. But for anyone that hasn't used Sapel for any sort of bench work, I don't think it's that common, to be honest. To my knowledge, I'm the only person, obviously, that I know of, or what I've seen on the likes of Instagram, that's actually built a bench out with Sapel. But it's quite hard wearing. That's personally what I think in my experience with it. I've obviously had I think this is 4 or 5 benches out of Sapel, something like that. They're all, they all get used and abused. So yeah, it kind of holds up pretty well. Obviously, there's going to be better wood to use. I'm not saying Sapel's the best, but all the Sapel I had was all but one bench. But obviously, the rest of the benches, it's the wood was basically free from where when I got it in Newcastle College. So yeah, it's held up pretty well. The sizes, I wasn't really happy with the sizes. I wasn't able to make it as long as what I wanted to. I wanted to try and go like 6 or 7 foot. Obviously, I can't. The longest working pieces that I could get were like 5 foot. So I just had to grin and bear that. I mean, to be honest with you, it is still quite a good size. I think my first bench was like 4 foot, and I built all sorts on that thing, 4 foot. You wouldn't think it, but I honestly built absolutely all sorts on it. So 5 foot, it's not too bad. In all fairness. So the thickness of the wood, it's just shy of 2 inches. So it's not great, but it's not too bad. I mean, me personally, I think with a Roman workbench, my opinion is that about 2.5 inches, after you've planed it and everything. So if you wind up with 2.5 inches after you've flattened everything, I think that's going to be like a really good thickness, especially for me, because I'm like dragging it in and out all the time, like in and out of the shed. So for me, it needs to be transportable. Obviously, if you're just going to, build it and leave it in a workshop or wherever, you're not going to move it about. You could go to like 3 inches thick, and that's going to be like a really good, thickness to actually weight the bench down. Obviously, the thicker something is, when you're using the same thickness with the legs, like 2.5 inches for the legs, if that's square, 2.5 inches square, it adds weight, and with the more weight, it adds stability. So that is a good thing. It's not necessarily like a bad thing if it's really heavy. It's just, you've got to just take into consideration what you're doing with the bench. And for me, as most that follow us, I like to be out in the garden, so it's getting dragged in and out, and I need to be able to pick it up. So there's a clear threshold for me, because I just cannot have it too heavy. Basically, end up hurting me back. The rake and splay, the sight lines, I played it safe. Not that I wanted to, because I did want to change the rake and splay for myself, but since I've done like a video on this and I've done plans on it, I decided just to stick with 38 degrees for the sight lines. Obviously using a 15 degree setting on the bevel. It's not really a bad like angle. What you end up with your rake and splay after you use that as a sight line, and obviously you use your 15 degrees bevel, it is decent. But I kind of wanted to use like 24 degree sight lines, and I wanted to bring the legs a little bit further out, further apart from each other. Obviously, when you're drilling the holes for the legs. But since I'm doing this, obviously since I've done a video and I'm doing plans for it, because the issue with it is that obviously the further apart the legs are, the closer they are to the outside of the top of the bench. So basically they protrude out, and that becomes a tripping hazard. So, some people are really clumsy, some people aren't, and you've also got the fact that some people might be working in like a really tight space, so they haven't really, got the room to be, stepping on legs and stuff. So I kind of decided to go down that route for that. As I said, I wasn't really particularly happy about that, but I decided it was the best all around. Obviously, when you make the base like a bigger footprint, as it were, you're just adding stability. So when you're using like 2-inch thick material for the top, obviously you haven't got as much weight, so obviously you want like a bigger base. It's going to give you more stability. Obviously, if it had been longer, that would have helped because there would have been more weight with that. Obviously if the material was 2.5 inches, it wouldn't have been an issue. To be honest, I'd probably still going to do that on the next bench build I'm going to do. Obviously this bench build, I'm like going to leave it until basically I've got the money to get what I the materials I want to use. I mean, I might even push the board out, and I might even get like a big like slab of ash. I think ash would be a really good wood to build a bench with. It's going to be nice and heavy, nice and dense. That's going to last for a very long time. That's not to say the oak one's not going to last a long time, and obviously the Sapel ones aren't going to last a long time because they have already, and they will do. But I've got too many benches at the moment, so I'm going to have to basically go through them. I think 2 of them's going to be for the firewood pile. I think I've got my original. It's just it's actually still usable, to be honest, but it's looking in a sorry old state. So I think that one might go on the fire pile, and obviously I've got the one that I never really worked on. That was the one I made. I made the top out of spruce, and that was just, again, that was another experiment, and it just as soon as it went outside, it twisted really badly, so I kind of just abandoned it. So I mean, to be honest, before I do that, I might actually get all of them together, take a load of pictures, and I might do a little bit of a blog. Speaking of blogs, I wasn't able to do a blog to accompany this podcast. I've just been so busy on the computer, so I didn't get around to it. But yeah, I might do a post for this podcast maybe during the week, because I have got photos, and obviously I can write one up. So yeah, have a look out for that if you are interested in the blog. That is, there'll be a link in the description. On this build, I also added leg rails. Again, this isn't really necessary. The thing with the leg rails, if you add the leg rails, you can actually add a board all the way through the middle of the bench, and this is just going to be like a mini shelf, if you like. The good thing about this is you're going to be able to put your tools on there like momentarily. I don't know if I'm going to on the video I actually said I was going to experiment with that, but I'm not overly sure if I am going to experiment with the shelf. I think the key is, if you're going to add a shelf to something like this, is that you want to keep it like inside of the legs, because obviously you could cut notches and you could bring them to the outside of the legs, but you don't really want to do that. You want to keep the shelf on the inside of the legs. If you keep it on the inside of the legs, you shouldn't really have any issues with your legs, because obviously your legs will wander underneath the bench when you're using it. So if you keep the shelf nice and narrow, I mean, you could even glue some lips on, to stop your tools from falling off. But if you do keep them on the inside, there shouldn't be an issue. I don't think so anyway. I think one of the main things I'd done it for was to basically rest me planes on. There is a couple of other tools that I do rest on. So the reason for this was that in all my other benches I've always added some sort of dowel or nail. So the issue with the nails, obviously the metal, I didn't like where they were, and they were just getting too close when I was, or rather my saw was getting too close to the nails when I was sawing, basically. So I ended up removing them. I removed a couple of them. I added in some oak dowel. The problem with the oak dowel is that it snaps like really easily. And it doesn't really matter, if the grain's nice and straight, if there's no run out, it doesn't matter. The will snap like stupidly easy. But those dowels, I will say, they're really, really handy to get your planes like out of the way momentarily. I mean, I was like all my planes. I think even my router plane, yeah, I did. I used to put my router planes on them and stuff. So those are really handy. So the thing with the rails, I think I can actually get about 3 planes on either side. So that's quite handy, just to get your planes out of the way. Because once you start doing like me personally, I normally do about 1, 2, 3 tasks. I'm going in between like that, like quite often. So you can imagine sometimes there is like a lot of tools like accumulating on the bench. So it is nice to get them out of the way, like just momentarily. If you've got like a couple of planes, you may be using, say, your number 4, your number 5. It's just nice just to be able to hook them, like, usually onto the dowel, and then they're out of the way, in seconds. So that's quite cool. So I did decide to add the rails, and that's basically what they're for. They will add a little bit of support to the legs, but they're not glued. They've just got like a couple of nails on either side. Personally, I don't think it needs it, even though the bench top is a little bit thinner than usual. I personally don't think it's needed. The conical tenons, what I used, what I made basically for the bench, they're like a really nice tight fit. Obviously, I used a Veritas reamer and the Veritas tenon cutter, so I got a really good results for that. So nice tight joints. I wedged 2 of them. That was just more for the video, just to basically show how to do it. But the 2 other legs, I just didn't bother wedging at all. They were super tight, so I've basically left them as is. The notch position on this one I changed. I actually put it at the back of what I would identify at the back of the bench. So I've got me dog holes, and obviously I've got me very like top dog holes. Those would be what I consider to be me plane and stops. So that would be the front of the bench. So if that's the front of the bench, I would be working on the left-hand side, because obviously I'm right-handed. So what I've done, I've put the notch at the right-hand side, obviously more towards the back. I think I brought it in like, was 12 inches, I think I brought it in 12 inches from the back of the bench, and I left it on that side. So this was a mistake, actually. I have to admit, because how it actually come about. There was obviously this wood, what I use, is reclaimed. So this was the worst of the bunch, and that's why I got left till last, basically. This has got like a lot of dents in it, like a lot of dents, a lot of chips in it. If I can remember rightly, a lot of this suppel, it was just getting skipped. It was actually handrail inside Newcastle College, for the stairwells. I think it's been up. Well, it had been up from, I think it was like the 1950s, 1960s, it's somewhere like that. I think the 70s at the latest. So they got it to skip like quite a lot of it, and then there was just like a lot of it that was just like left next to the skip, and the forklift and the tractors were just driving over it and stuff. It got really hammered. So it was pretty damaged. So basically, it was two sections. I glued the two sections together. So I always intended to put the notch at the back of the bench, but what I was going to do, I was going to put the notch at the back of the bench on the left-hand side, which is obviously the side that I would use for planing. So obviously when I went to do it, I've got this big chunk like just taken out. If you can think of maybe like a veiny edge, that's what it kind of looks like. But obviously it's you can tell it's been split out, but it's the same sort of effect, like a big veiny edge. So obviously I seen it and I said, what am I going to do? I can't put it there. There's just not going to be enough support. And obviously I says I'll just have to put it on the other side. But as I was thinking about it, it just made more sense to do that anyway. So it was a bit of a blessing, if you will. So the theory behind this, or what I started thinking, was I like to do 2 to 3 tasks on the bench. So the reason I didn't put it at the front of the bench was because if I'm doing 2 or 3 tasks at a time, it's quite common for me to put a piece of wood in the notch and actually fix pieces of wood to that. And that's why I've kind of finally made this notch accessory. I did show it a few days ago on Instagram. Go and check it out. It's nothing special, but it is actually quite interesting, especially if you're interested in Vice's woodwork. And I'm pretty sure there's people who've seen it already that follow us. But regardless to that, that's basically, I will have a piece of wood in there. So if I've got the piece of wood in there and I'm going in between tasks, it basically gets in my way. So I've got to take it out. So that was the reason to put it at the back of the bench. But obviously I wasn't thinking that far ahead, because if I had to put it on the same side as what I was planing on, it probably still would have been in my way, getting in my way from time to time. Because obviously when you're planing, you kind of just like, your body does tend to hang over. I think it just would have been in the way. So obviously it's on the right hand side and it's at the back of the bench. It's kind of out of the way. So I'm pretty happy about that, to be honest. I think that's one of the things I liked about the oak bench that I done with the shave horse. Obviously I put the shave horse at the other side, at the back end of the bench. So that's pretty cool. So I can use the shave horse, and then I've got the front of the bench to do whatever. If I'm making spindles or like something to do with chairs or benches, I'm able to use this the shave horse, and then I can go to the front of the bench, and I might whatever. Do you know what I mean? I might be like cutting legs to length, after I've shaped them or whatever. So that was the idea behind like putting it where it was. So I'm pretty happy about that's actually how it worked out. It worked out for the best, especially considering I thought like, what am I going to do, sort of thing, with a big chunk like from the underside. So that worked out really well. The dog holes, I've kind of refined them quite a lot. So the dog holes that are in the Sapel bench, they geared like a lot. They geared a lot to my work, and obviously that's why I always, when people ask us where should I put dog holes, that's what I always say. Like, basically, try and figure it out yourself. Because obviously my work's going to be different to everybody else's work, but the dog holes are, I don't feel I've getting 100% with them on this one, but I do feel I've refined them a lot. What I'm tending to do a lot lately, maybe in the last month, 2 months, I've been not using the wedge a lot. When I've been clamping pieces of wood with a peg system, mainly for planing, but I have been like clamping them without the wedge, and using me Shinto rasp and stuff. So I done that the other day when I was actually making the notch accessory. So I have actually demonstrated this. I'm sure I demonstrated this on me How the Roman Workbench Works Part 2. I'm pretty sure. So you basically put two wedges in, you put your piece of wood in, you flex the wood, and then you put the third peg in, and that basically keeps it in place. So I've been doing that a lot. Another thing that I've been doing as well is the roller. One of the wedges that I've got, not the wedges, one of the pegs I've got, and I've had this peg from like day one. I think this is like one of the very first like pegs I ever made. I think it's been about 4 years, something like that. I've been messing around with a Roman workbench. So this has actually got, I wouldn't say it was a great taper on it, but it's this particular peg, it's more noticeable than the rest of them. If you look at a lot of me pegs, a lot of them are beat up now, but you can't really tell they've got a taper on them. All of me pegs have got a slight taper on them, but this one you can really see it. You can really see the taper with your eyes. So I've kind of just been using that, and I've been like basically using that taper to wedge the material in. So obviously you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to like really push it down or hammer it. It's just like you put it in and you just push it with the palm of your hand, just a little bit. The issue with this, obviously, that I don't really come up against, is that if you use like a softwood, if you're using spruce or some sort of pine, it's basically gonna put an indentation in the wood basically. So as I said, I don't really have this issue because most of my wood that I get is oak. I think the majority is like oak. I've probably used like quite a lot of sapel in the last few years. A little bit of ash, a little bit of walnut. I mean, I really don't get a lot of other wood. A little bit of beech, but I don't. I'm not so financially sound, as it were. So for us to go out and be able to get all these nice, beautiful woods, there's lots and lots of woods that I'd love to have a go at. But it is what it is, isn't it? So back to the dog holes. So as I was saying with this, with the way I've got the dog holes situated, I haven't been using like the wedges when I've been like edge planing, like anything like that. Which is pretty cool. Like I've managed to get me usual 21mm thick oak. That's like that's not an issue. That's sorted. So that goes in nicely, don't need to wedge that. I was able to get the 25mm or the 1-inch material. That was the ash, what I actually was using to build the accessory, the notch accessory with. I was also able to basically clamp up some of this the actual sapel, what I was using to build the bench with. I had a little bit of that left over, and that was, that just went in and I clamped up without any wedges quite easy. So that's pretty good. I mean, it would be pretty cool if I was able to get like a few more sizes and, just get things worked out. I mean, if you look at the bench, I think in total there's about 20 dog holes. That's not really a lot. In my eyes, it's not in any way. So I kind of feel like I am getting a bit closer to my optimal dog hole positioning. maybe in the next bench, I might get even closer. Hopefully, I think probably the dog holes are going to change again. They've certainly changed from the oak bench. But I think the more you experiment, the more you kind of know what works and you know what doesn't work, which takes us back to saying this again. Obviously, you should really add your dog holes as and when you need them. I did do a video on this. I did try to explain it. It did feel like I was babbling on, which I normally do about things, but I think I did get the gist of it over. If you want to check that out, it's on my YouTube channel. Be a link in the description. I think that's pretty much it for the bench. I mean, I don't think there's anything more to talk about really. If you've got any questions about the bench, don't hesitate to leave a comment on my social media. Send us an email or whatever. I'm always happy to answer questions about it. If you've got any ideas of what you'd like us to talk about, or any videos you would like us to shoot, same again, leave us a comment, send us an email. I do take everything into consideration. A big thank you as well to everyone. My YouTube channel has really grown now. I'm getting a lot of subscribers. Same with my Instagram. Every time I go on Instagram, there's just people popping up, new followers. So to everybody that's just started following us and everybody that already follows us, a big thank you. Really, really appreciate that. So a reminder for everyone, I'm probably going to be very busy for the next 3 weeks, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get the podcast out. I am going to try. I might be able to get them out, but just to let you know. So I think that's going to be it for today, guys. So thanks very much for listening. Until the next time, I'll see you later.